Once again, welcome. This is Hambbage and Hambage's Hardcore Minecraft channel. And as repeat viewers may know, we are embarking on the great adventure that will be World 4. Man, Hondo, we barely got a chance to know you and you were gone. But you certainly intrigued us and just got a little bit sloppy, a bit overconfident. That can happen when you're back into new worlds and you've gotten used to having diamond gear and all that. You get a little bit sloppy. So definitely bummed that I let that one get away, but that's all right. It gives us a new chance. Maybe we'll find something even better going out here. But without further ado, let's see what the game has to offer this time around. So we're going to create yet another new world, getting a little too familiar with this process. And here we go. Next world name, Elcano, I believe. Probably not nailing the pronunciation there, but obviously we're playing in hardcore, and let's see what we've got in store for us this time around. Took a little longer break between videos than I'd even intended to. It was kind of fun. I was inspired by that place name, and it led to a bit of research that or eventual names, I guess. There's probably places involved, but it certainly is one that we may use. So I'm just gonna 2756 is our starting point, and I'm not bothering to show that. I'm just jotting down those coordinates on my notepad for the save. So off we go. Looks like we got some plains. We have a desert. We've got an ocean, so we don't have to worry about that. We got a little wooded treetop hill over here. Let's go up it. We can punch some trees while we're there and maybe get a wider look around, see what we've got. Couldn't be much more different than the last world we started in. Little limited in lumber resources compared to our last world, but as I always say, ocean trumps that. We can spread these trees out and get them going. Let's do this one right and try to make up a bit for the kind of silliness that's been going on recently. We are gonna break some trees today. We are gonna find we'll kind of explore a little bit here as we go, but we are going to take what's on hand. This meets our base criteria, and we're gonna try to do it right this time and not not be quite so free spirited and running around without full gear. Although, man, we were close. All that iron that we had, we just gotten tools. But don't mistake just having base level iron for being all the way good. It's a trap that obviously I just fell into, and it can be one that props up. You've been running around in the most minimal of gear like we had, where we had gold pants and leather shoes, and eventually made a couple pieces of iron, and you start to feel pretty good. You're like, oh yeah, this stuff's got a good deal of protection. But being close to one creeper, that's not enough, clearly. So try to avoid that. Now, this again, more similar to our world of Donkey Heights. We definitely are up a little bit higher, but I think rather than immediately setting out, we'll find something that can work to kind of get us started here, and take that as um, a good start. So I just want to kind of look around and see what, if any, caves or big holes like this potentially. Oh, this just got a lot more potentially exciting. Um, Ravines have that possibility, and while we're talking here, I'm not going to stop. I want to keep gathering wood. Um, Ravines offer some real good potential in the early game, specifically that they have potential coal and iron that you can see and move towards without a whole lot of chopping. They can get you down quite deep. You start a stairway down to a mine to level 11 from down there. You're already quite a ways along, and you don't have to do all that digging. So that's pretty good. The other thing is you can often make that excavated home style with a somewhat more secure entry, because you can kind of use ledges to your advantage and not put them in a position where monsters are going to get at you. The drawbacks of ravines are when you do that type of work, you're vulnerable from above whenever you come in or out, and that's not real great. So in the past, I've had varying degrees of success. If I slide right off the edge and die, I swear it's gonna be laughter to the point of tears kind of time. In the past, I would have potentially built like a little walkway down and carved in here and made a jump to get to it of a couple bricks, so that if any monsters came around, they wouldn't immediately drop right down on my head. They would have a barrier to that. I don't want to put my house right there, though, for the reasons I said. When you're every morning getting up and having to climb out from your home, yes, hi cow, that over time becomes kind of dangerous, because you are always vulnerable to a creeper or something that spawned in the night above your head, dropping down on you as are kind of yawning and stretching and walking around wondering what's there to greet you for the day. So I think we can do a little better with a home site in one of these areas, and then have access to the benefit of the ravine as we get some tools and things going. So it's kind of the thought. We'll have to obviously this time use a wood pick to get some initial stone, but I did want to go ahead and just clear out this tree to kind of get us more access and start these leaves decaying too. What we don't have to start here is real good food. I don't want to take out those cows. We don't know how many we have to work with yet, so we're not just gonna wholeheartedly slaughter them just to have an early snack of beef when we may need them later. So we'll go ahead and just make this one pick, and now having that, we'll make sure we can get back out again. And I don't want to go really super far at the risk of attracting aggroed mobs, but I also want to, see what, if we can't get a environment for a first little home that's not just complete garbage. So there we go. Stone pick, stone axe. Pick back up our toolbox, finish up some of these trees. You can see the light. The sun looks to be now headed back down, so that's going to be our west. Um, I think, in the midst of this little area will be our excavation site for a home that we can then, maybe as it evolves, remove some of this hillside, whatever, and then, face it back out. Yeah, we'll kind of see what comes, but unlike the last ones where I was trying to be real particular, this time I want to try to roll with what the game is giving me, since it was good enough to put us right on an ocean and seemingly give us um, a good starting batch of resources. We got a couple different biomes. That savanna that was spreading out in the distance should more than likely have sheep. We've got cows that we've seen. I think I saw a chicken at one point. I didn't call it out, but I think there's one around. So we're too terrible to start. Obviously, what we've had real good fortune with on some of the other worlds is the presence of a village fairly early. And at the moment, at least, we don't have that here. But the good news is we seem to have found ourselves in a bit of a corner that is sort of secure, and I'm just kind of trying to get in and out. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So let's go here. This is gonna get real dark for a second. I apologize for that. We'll try to mitigate, but we also don't want to die again. So we're gonna throw that there. Man, oh man, this is dark. That would be our entry. We'll want one. I am so confused. It's quiet here, and I'm trying to play in the darkness and see how far I need to go. We got to get a furnace made, craft some charcoal from some of the logs that we gathered, and start that. But I don't even yet have the turn made to put down the tool. So I've done the 2x3 sections. Now we've got our workbench. We can create a furnace. This is finally going to get us a little bit of light. So we're going to put this in the corner. Again, I know this is, you can barely see. I'm sorry for that, but it is what it is. We're going to drop our 20 birch pieces in, and already that gives us a little bit of light here to see by, which is good. And then we're just going to immediately flip one of those coals back so we have just a bit of breathing space in terms of coal time. So now we are a little less in scramble mode. We want to punch 2 5-long chambers here and just make sure that we're not opening up into a larger cave. And as I see that, we got a zombie talking. The big risk here is going to be that we're going to have to get out when daytime does come, and nobody's going to particularly be cooking in the sun where we're under an overhang. But now we can at least get a couple torches. So what I don't understand while I was in frantic mode, I've never heard this around before, but it almost sounds like somebody's practicing an instrument around me. Almost like a trumpet or a French horn or something, but I'm not aware of any of my neighbors, being it's kind of school time. I wouldn't think that would be a midday type activity. I know there's coal in there. We'll have to deal with that, but we need to let's do a little better here first. So yeah, I've got this it almost sounds too good to just be practice. It's just like a little melodic notes going, and I don't know if it's coming from something else. If it was a car, maybe. It's cold outside. We've got continued to get snow overnight last night, and it cleared. It was a beautiful morning this morning. The sun was shining bright, and everything was white, and it got cold enough that it's not just immediately melting. So, it wouldn't typically be one of those where even a delivery driver or something would just leave a car window open, but it was kind of beautiful but distracting in its own way. Like, where is that coming from? Why am I just hearing, single instrument just playing a tune out somewhere very softly so I can just barely hear it. And it makes me wonder, is it some other window on my laptop or something that's got something playing? I'm pretty sure it's nothing coming from me. So I don't know. It was kind of cool. Nice to hear a little music, but a little distracting too when you're trying to make stuff for others. Okay, I think we'll let's call that good for a moment. I think we're going to find we have some good access to coal. So next step, since we have a lot of wood, let's go ahead and get our 8 double chests set up and placed. And this is now going to become very familiar to those of you who watched previous videos to World 2. We were in a little bit different footprint, but this is what I was describing as my typical starter one-room home when I get going. It offers expansion in all 3 directions other than your main entrance. We can blow out that, and ultimately, if we punch another room here, you can kind of go modular and just each one this size, punch one out there and then go another one over, and that can line up with a wall, so we could have 2 different entrances kind of on a plaza, eventually carve up through the dirt and the stone and open up into a little area. I think that has some potential, but the main benefit right at the moment is it got us going early. We've got a barely little bit look at the sun, and I think the problem with this current situation is we're going to eventually have to make a mad dash for for the safety of the sunlight when morning does come along. But between now and then, we got some more good time, and we can just kind of punch out these exploratory doorways to help you guys visualize a little bit. Now, if things get started here, more so than the little shed that we were in the process of making at a quarry in the last world, this one, we can clean up. We can maybe switch some of this out for paneling and or keep the natural stone, eventually replace that. Who knows what? But I'm beginning to think this could look okay. Let's just we're gonna want to make some tools out of some of this stuff, but I'm just going through and putting things into what can eventually become their boxes. So let's get the rest of the wood here. that we have with our birch. We'll just go ahead and make some more sticks. We need a load of those. We'll double them up, and now let's load up on our stone tools for the coming day. And that we'll have an overflow here. We'll use up the rest of the wood before we even go back outside. You can make multi-handed, it's kind of like left-handed scissors, right? You can make the axes in either direction. Doesn't have a hard. I typically curve them around this side, but either way. So now we've got loads of shovels and axes and picks. We have an extra odd thing, and while I hope not to have to even use it, a stone sword is better than a wood sword or no sword at all. So let's take that. And last but not least, we will use the charcoal we have gathered, and starting with 47 torches at least gives us a little bit. Now we'll throw the rest of that real coal in. We'll take a little peek here and see it's starting to get some pre-dawn light. That's nice. I don't want to rush that necessarily, and now we're going to go kind of cautiously here because I don't, we can back away if there's a cave or something that looks like trouble. But this is my next priority of my rooms. And before I forget, let's focus on using this guy up. You hear their feet. It's kind of intimidating as they're walking around. You're like, are you coming for me, buddy? Can we talk about this? So what I'm hoping to do here by taking a little bit more time in this room is, as the sun comes, we may find we have a whole lot more world entrance over here with this dirt. I don't know. That gets us as far as that, but that's not a bad thing either, right? It's certainly good to be like an animal out in the wild that has a burrow or a den. Usually they will make multiple entrances to those kinds of dens. And this is a prime example of why, right? We know this is all under a ceiling, and yeah, we can make a dash for, see, he's just waiting for us. We can make a dash for daylight, and, if that skeleton follows us, eventually he will get cooked in the sun. But remember, like last time, and even more so, we got nothing to slow those arrows down if he starts shooting them at us, so... that's the happy sound of something melting in the sun, and music to our ears at the moment. So I'm just kind of pulling this, as you see the dirt, it doesn't take a real genius to figure out that, hey, you may get a little level, but that may poke out to the world here before we completely reach. And you can watch for the grass edges if you are about to emerge. See there, so we're close, but we're not fully exposed, and that's a good thing. You don't want to be exposed, right? You can can get into real trouble. But jokes aside, we can use this to kind of build out this corner, and all subject to improvement, but we have just enough room, and I don't want to leave it, as little adoration as I have for cobblestone, as you guys may have picked up on. It's kind of a theme. Cobble at least has its durability going for it. If an explosion happens in the area, the cobble will usually withstand it pretty well. And I've shown you enough creeper explosions in the caves and things to make that point pretty well. Now, oh man, we're gonna go out this way. So, this is pretty good. Let's take a look at what we've got here, because now we're gonna go see if we can't further find things in our world to help us out. Don't even need that. Go in here. Take those. Take that. Why are we... Why are we getting such loud music? I did encounter one, and it wasn't a deal. I'm not running ads or anything, so the verbiage I got was that it wasn't an issue for me publishing, but in my first video, I got a copyright notification when we were at the desert temple area. It cited a Minecraft song name and said that that there was copyright. That was copyright music, and I think that ultimately comes down to it's got rights in Microsoft or Minecraft or Mojang or somebody maintains those rights, but it has a wider or just there's nothing in holding those rights that prevents people from using it. Now, whether you can have that music playing while you're generating ad revenue and stuff like that may lead to greater opposition, but things I don't know for certain and would prefer not to find out the hard way. So here we go. We got a secondary entrance, which is really a safer entrance than the one in the midst of the cave. We'll hopefully be able to circle back around and get that one cleared out too. Just like we were talking about with the ravine, this has the vulnerability of things spawning up above it and dropping down on our heads, but the flip side of that is always if you're emerging in daylight, the sun will help take care of some of your enemies as you go. So we'll just clear out a little bit of this area, throw up a couple torches so we can find it again, and call that a good initial start just to get us going. Now I think I need to look more before I just start breaking leaves, but I think those represent a tree we already took down. I don't mind this big tree, though. I kind of like it, but I'd like to make sure it's not maintaining any other trees that can decay. So I'll do that. We may leave the birch as well, just for a little variety, but I think we'll take this one, and that's going to require just a little bit of pruning to keep it clean and independent of all of these. I just want to make sure we don't have an excessive amount of shaded and or hidden area up above our house. And all this can evolve and change over time, but even for a starting point, it's better to not have that real congested, and that's why I'd cleared out, there were trees all here. That has helped to light up the area. Now, if that skeleton gives us the opportunity. He may have despawned, which would be really nice, but he may just have withdrawn a little bit. So we're going to, first priority, get some torches down. Next priority, clear this out just enough so that we have a straight shot and so we can put up this door and get light on the corner here. Then we are going to carve out the inside of this angle. And remember, we always go 3, so this is our chest. That's our toolbox on that. Next to this will be a center post. Think of our villager beds and our outposts that we made. Those guys will all have, or those guys, these corners represent kind of a center, so we can have 3 rooms eventually. If we come through here and then knock out that wall, we can have another one there and kind of, open up the interior stuff here, space that out a little bit, and make a little bit nicer space for the fact that we're living in a cave, but yeah, an improved cave, not just a drippy, dirty cave, a snug, secure cave. And while I don't want to do it quite yet, some of this stuff can all be potentially trimmed down to open this up to sky. We get, this will be level. It'll be a little elevated courtyard. We can knock this out so we have a view. Even if this is an overhang, that's kind of cool too. What are you guys thinking? Are you feeling it? I'm kind of feeling it. Like here's what I'm seeing. Would be, I'm just checking the trees. So everything's clear here. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. But before we go all talking about trees and dirt and stuff, now remember, this is stone sword. So he's, we're talking lots of shots here. You don't want to get overconfident in thinking that, you've got him dealt with, but that could also be where our skeleton is. Since that does wrap around underneath our new home, let's see if we can deal with it. Oh, shoot. Wow. Oh, this is bad. Bad, bad, bad. Bad, 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 bad. Bad, 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 bad. Bad, 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 bad. Whew. Don't ever run down the downhill side. Okay, it was just a hole. Oh my goodness, that was, as I said, bad, 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 bad. That day also seemed to have gone fairly quickly. Wow. I guess we did a lot more digging to carve out. We still don't have a bed, and increasingly that could become a little bit of a factor. Once we get up to the nights of phantoms spawning. And we didn't really look, we were kind of digging down, which helps a little bit in this regard. I got some more coal at least. Now, I'm not going to open these things up yet. I want to, use doors or just single wide entrances, holes and things, as long as I'm able to keep each of these sections free, because you never know when you're going to pop into a room and, hey, not just one creeper, a couple come out. So, yeah, I wish I'd killed that second guy instead of just letting him blow up, but he didn't get us, and at this point, after our recent failures, we won't complain about things like not getting credit for the kills. We'll just leave it at that. So now we can explore this way. And again, we're just adding another module into the equivalent. We can, we can kind of poke a hole there just to show. And do we dare? We dare. We haven't been around long enough not to dare. Torch, 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 torch. Cool. Now, the more light we have in this area, the safer it becomes. Things can wander up, but we can kind of quickly run into a space like that. So that's a win. Now we see what this dirt wall, how far it cuts in or anything. It looks like we may remain pretty consistent with the last room we carved out. Even better off in some of these where we just had to dig that row of dirt. It didn't really open us up to the outside, but let us put up some more resilient stone in its place. So this is filling us in a little bit with the lack of sleeping. We've been fortunate in so many of our other worlds to find villages and grab beds early. That lets you range a bit more, which has ultimately caused trouble for us, but it does present an entertaining early game. Whereas here, we're just going to take what the game gives us and try to do it without too many disasters. You may not necessarily believe that from what I've displayed. Instead of the cobble, why don't we try this? This is the diorite, I believe. So let's. Dang it! I kind of panicked a little bit. I didn't want to open up an entrance, so I just threw the block. But it looks like we were safe anyway. So here we go. Now we can have double entrances. It's not my top priority, but we'll have plenty of sand. I think there was a desert around us, and we got beach stuff, so we can go get sand and make glass. We can do some big windows along here looking out, and I think eventually, out into the darkness, this would be the area that we would start leveling out into the plains to grow things on. And we don't have to go down to sea level or anything like that, so we'll try to do the least resistance in terms of shoveling to get that dirt and balance everything out. But I'm confidently happy about how we're starting things off, subject to a lot of twists and turns along the way. Why don't we, since this is the more traditional style, why don't we do one thing that I haven't done in a long. Before I even do that, early on, a long time ago, I used to kind of exist in a world, not use world loosely, exist in a place or a type of gaming that prominently encountered these short-lived worlds, and I didn't have the chance to really get well established because I was starting back over a lot like some of these. But when these are the resources that you're seeing time and again, you kind of get used to some of those, and I think why don't we do a little bit of a tribute to the fact that we have some of these early game resources around us in opposition or protest to the use of cobble. Again, I don't know how many of these I'll actually need, but enough to get a start. Maybe do a little bit of a layout. So we'll fill this back in. The good news about granite, diorite, and andesite is they're all over the place. You're always going to keep building more, or building your stores of them, whether you want to or not. So, dang it, didn't want that. So we'll maybe look at using those as a semi-finished material instead of just cobble and wood and stone. I don't know how many people even think of really using these in building anymore, because there are so many options now, and these, kind of rightly or wrongly got a bit of a stigma, having been the only variety for so long. They kind of got played out in large part, and also it's three kind of weird patterned colors. They're not just flat. They've got their own texture, but without having to expend more resources, we can clean them up a little bit, make them just a little bit nicer, and I think let's grab what we have. At the moment, I'm not looking to use the andesite. I think the white and the pinkish will work out okay. So we'll take those, and let's start here. And we'll just see what we can do about a floor. In part, this is we're not equipped to go out and just run around in the middle of the night. We don't have any armor yet, and we aren't quite to the point of digging down deep. That's certainly what we need to accomplish, but until we get some food and a bed and some of that kind of stuff, we got more pressing immediate needs. So let's just give this a whirl. I don't think it's gonna look super. It won't be my favorite, but it's a little more than just original stone or cobble worse floor, and will give us something different to look at. So now we got our polished granite here. We'll just make a nice little pattern and maybe put those in the little holes around. Oh, look, the sun's come up. Cool. That's going to break our door, but we'll put it right back up again, hoping that nothing fills the gap here while we're setting up. Awesome. I think that'll at least work, right? And we'll grow enough. Maybe we do the more gray. No, I don't want to do the gray. I've never been, I'm not going to say a lie and just, to try to show how culturally aware pink, not my favorite color. I grew up a boy, and whether or not I don't have any problem with it, but just not my favorite. But it's better than the gray. I think the gray kind of gets lost with regular stone, and so just polishing up the andesite to have another third color doesn't really do anything for me. But we'll have time to finish out that floor stuff as we go. Let's just do another quick little inventory shuffle here. We've got Burning Daylight that I'd like to get out into. as we go here, but if we just run out with what we've got, we're gonna run into a little bit of trouble. So, cobble. All right, that's we're low on torches, but we're decent enough on tools. Would happily chop a sheep at this point. And that's the next real need. Now, where did that savanna go? I don't even know which direction. Okay, this was going back out. There's the ravine. What are our bearings here? It's north, of course, because the sun goes down over there, rises north above. Now, that means that our plains opening, we got this little hole over here, but the plain side opening of our house is facing south. Kinda nice. There's one sheep. Awesome. We got pigs. We have yet to exactly see the chickens, but I think with this much space, we'll eventually find some. There's some. No, those were flowers. Dang it. Here, chicky, 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 chick, 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 chick. This is always, it's still midday, and we got a late start, so we can rush. We've seen 2 sheep, and now they're kind of fair game. I don't want to brandish my sword too much, just to avoid tipping them off that they're my target. You know how stingy the game can be with if it seems to get a sense of what you're looking for. It'll the ghost in the machine will get us. Seriously, those are the only 2 sheep. Hey, there's a chicken now. We were talking about you. Good. We know eventually we can get chickens going. Oh my goodness, look at how bad my food is. We had pigs back closer to home, right? Let's, sorry dude. Eat dinner. You and your buddies. Oh. Oh, four pork is better than no pork. We're taking y'all. We gotta go back. We didn't find the sheep that we needed away from camp. Now, find some iron. It's no big deal. We'll make a pair of shears and get to clipping, and no problem. We're back to good. But lots of chickens. That's good. And, there's some pumpkins. There's the sheep we need. And you do need to hope when you're, decided, hey, I got to do an early sheep harvest. You do want to hope for 3 because without the shears, you're only going to get the 1 piece of wool per. You may get skunked, and if we get skunked, we're in trouble. Typically, that doesn't become too much of an issue for me. I think it's a pretty flat. If you kill a sheep with a sword, you're going to get just the 1 piece of wool back. And we passed, and hopefully we passed, a whole lot of possible sheep that we just ignored. I will gladly, let's go yellow. Let's just get a couple dandelions. We'll dye this bed up yellow. Again, we passed some pigs even up on these plains, so I wasn't too worried about that. And as we've seen, pigs aren't my main concern for breeding anyway. So early on like this, when you start to see your hunger bars going down and you haven't gotten a village for wheat, it's time to get some pigs. But we've got some around, and we had, I think one sheep was over there, and they were scattered. Another one was over this way. There's one of them. So eventually we can, pull those guys back together. There was a light gray one that we'd seen, and worst case, we can breed him back to white and then start with base wool and dye it all from there. So it's all very doable now that we can make a bed. But it would be cool to see if you had a buddy. I mean, both of you guys are just kind of like, did you pop into the game as a as a 1-in-1 mismatched pair? What? Where's the Noah's Ark meta that says that you guys populate in twos and then can repopulate this world? But whatever, we'll deal with it. One last thing before we lose our daylight here. This is kind of what I was talking about with the whole carving out and, working on envisioning that a little bit. But as that creeper showed, we're really vulnerable if we get down on this side without an exit. So that's job one here. Let's go in and get our pork cooking since we're so hungry. And then we can kind of spend what daylight is left. So I'm thinking maybe we work from this level and just take out everything flat and level with it. Leave that as an overhang. If it's rainy, it'll keep the drips off. And anything that could consider dropping on our heads will at least be at a distance. It won't be right at our doorway. And this will give us some view out into the distance. What do you guys think about that? Sound kind of cool? You guys, we're just going to carve out this little pedestal here, and maybe we'll trim that back or extend the hill out to make that into more of a tunnel. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, I just want to be able to, make some windows along here and be able to look out and go, oh, it's daytime, or oh, it's nighttime, that kind of stuff, and have a view. I think we took a first step towards that now. And, this, again, we can kind of push it a little bit more. Running. Don't give the game a reason to smack us back down into our place. Okay, now that not enough stone to do anything. You got some raw granite, just dirt. Not those. Man, I am just a mess in here until we get going. Let's get our bed. It's probably what it is. Sleep deprivation in Minecraft affects player, not just player character. We got a bed. We can sleep. We can have a nice little nap. We need next to restock our torches and our tools, and I'm going to do that before I sleep. Let's get that. We'll go ahead and make a chunk of sticks. Keep those to resupply. We've kind of flip-flopped. Well, maybe let's keep 12 for more torches. We'll restock there. Let's eat a little lamb. belly had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Okay, now we got full belly again. We got some pork ready to go. We can wrap up our initial efforts on our flooring here. And just kind of, one, it was a time killer while we were unable to sleep, but two, it's kind of nice to get some of those things in before you start filling in your rooms, right? Definitely balances things out. Now, when we make our home bed, we'll want to think, maybe a pink to match up with the floor that we've laid down. Maybe a white or a gray or something like that, just to balance. I don't think our yellow bed will particularly go with the color scheme we've chosen just yet, but we'll give it a whirl. See, hopefully this at least lets us fill in the floor that we've had. I just kind of dove in and started breaking stuff out without really thinking about how many pieces I had. As I said, what? Okay, those are gonna be. I got a little aggressive there, which is. Oh man, we're still a little short though. We can put down the pink. Doom, doom, doom. And yeah, it's something. Now, when we figure out what we want to do with our walls in here, we can get a few more pieces to fill that in. We definitely want to put that there. And we've at least got our doors to look at. But see what I'm saying? Now we'll be able to take a little better peek out beyond our immediate view and kind of see the world opening up. And even more so when we, pop some windows in here. I think that'll look pretty good. So good progress. I think we've earned a little nap. I'm going to leave the polished granite pink stone that we have at the ready. We don't need to carry the apple. One thing that we do need to do is let's put those in our pocket for tomorrow. We'll kind of Johnny Appleseed it out across the plain and make some future trees. Excuse me, that was a mic move. Sip to wet the whistle. Okay, so a little more survivable. We've got two directions of egress and can head back out through our thing. I'm not gonna. Oh, we never made the tools. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Dun, dun, dun. Two more picks. And one more shovel. And we're set. Now, next mission is to make sure that we aren't just immediately in trouble. As much as I want to move this out now and get it, kind of get it coming out at the level out from our door, and maybe fill in the rest of this so it all is just one big flat. I want to. Next step is to see what's down in this cave, and as I already mentioned, the potential to get stuck down there is certainly real, and we don't want that. But I've been looking at that coal for quite a while, knowing that that would be a helpful resource. And of course, that's the only thing in our whole little area here. So we'll take it. Hope nothing falls from the sky. That's just, those are the kind of game trolly things that certainly happen. It's the middle of the day. You're like, oh yeah, everything's good. I've cleared everything out. There's no trees, and then boom, creeper. Just because you're working underneath an edge, and you're like, was he really hanging out all day and just happened to wander over to fall right on my head? Um, I think we've done everything we can to mitigate against that. So we need this coal. We'll just get it and hope for the best. All right. So there we go. Let's cap this off. I don't know what, if anything, we'll continue to do with this part of this cave, but at least for the moment, we know what's down there. We also cleared out our little creeper spawner in there. Let's just throw a pair of torches there. I really was hoping for a bit more iron out of that little venture, but at least we can get a hint more torches, and we'll just get the charcoal out now. Hopefully we don't have to go back to cooking our wood to keep our coal needs met. So, spider, your time may be coming. I guess what I've inadvertently done is anything up above I've made a little more difficult to get to by carving out that whole hillside. The other side is definitely a little more appealing. Yeah, I was just wondering, why are you being all hostile? Probably the shade of the tree drop that light level just a little bit. I don't know. But I saw him coming. I was like, let's just see how this plays out. I think this is our next most accessible hole. It is a hole. We could connect into this from indoors, would probably be a little safer, but we don't know exactly how far. Man, that's almost exactly like what I did in the nether. Just get back down and pull some goodies and end up breaking an extra block. I think, let's go back over here. I'm not going to push extra hard to go deep into this hole. I know we've got half a day. We don't want to not make progress, but we also don't want to find ourselves in that dusk situation where there's monsters spawning above our head either. But I saw from up above that little hole means that this is going to connect into an even larger cave below it, and we need the coal in particular. Once we get some coal, we can use one of our days to go out into that desert and get some sand, and one stack of glass not only gives us windows in our base, which is just nice to have, but you can put a cover, skylight on this little hole that we go down, leave the stairs access, but at least you don't have to worry that something's just going to drop straight down on your head and take you out. So those are the kind of things that the advantage of some success. We still got plenty of time at the moment, though, and let's see what comes next. I think just to promote safety, we need to be ever thoughtful of safety these days. Let's go like this, and we'll just wrap the staircase back into the edge of this deeper hole and see where it leads us. I do like the double wide staircase, just for aesthetically and the movement stuff, but also ultimately to allow it, if I was to ever put stairs in, if you just allow that double, you can still do the stair and not ultimately break um, the flow or have to trim it down further um, as you widen, or as you place stair blocks in. A little bit like the three wide stairs, and being able to run steps alongside your carved stone block stairs that you have to jump between. Um, we haven't seen. I was hoping, okay, maybe we get, an iron deposit or something on the side of the wall here that we can call as an early win. Even, this may just go down to the the bottom of a flat hole, and okay, congratulations, you just dug a big hole. Well done. It looks like it's going to be more of a cave, but I'd always like it if there was something valuable lining the walls along the holes we went down. But let's not get greedy. Let's just take the W that the game will give us, and that W was emerging still in daylight and not having been rained upon by anything mean. So we'll just spend some of this time improving a little bit our egress from this side of our home. We can push it all the way over here, so we know we have an extra room, and really use this space pretty well, I think, to carve out into the opposite direction. Again, as we do all this, we're kind of limiting our access up to the top, but something I can live with if we're well situated as a result. And here, I think that's the length of our room, and what we may do is just kind of, leave a bit of a rise around the outside. Now we can preset torches here. We'll want a door back on that edge eventually, and I hope I'm not tempting mobs here as we go, but I'm not going to carve that just yet because we don't have a door to put in to its place. But having the light at least, keeps us a little bit. We have a little more ability to peek out our door window and see if anything's coming to get us. So very cool. And we can, even if we want to emerge that way, can poke a hole and see. Good progress again, I hope. Hope you guys are enjoying as we get started yet again on another world, and just what on earth am I doing to myself? This is not the dirt box. This is the dirt box. This is the granite. And we can get at least 4 pieces filling the hole in our floor. A piece of it. We'll still have one little spot, but we're getting there. Now, next up, just as a starting point, we don't need interior walls to block our view from ourselves or from our stuff. So with the exception of knocking down the torches and not having even fully placed these, let's just throw a few more up, but open up the sight lines around. And here, we may just, what? Yeah. Let's make this a full... I like this one because I want to keep those chests in place. But let's do this, I never picked up the polished stone there. How much do we have? 37. Let's go ahead and make this pink. Let's make this a full stripe. I got a torch there. I don't know that this is quite as resilient as the cobble or other stone variants, but it's better than dirt. It's not just gonna completely crumble away, and it will kind of unify a little bit. What do we think there? Huh? Maybe do... I think I'll keep a low wall here. I'm not even sure about these torches, although I like their proximity back to the room. So maybe we'll do pink on all these verticals, and then do low white as the resources allow to finish out. But it's kind of nice having a bigger room like that to spread out in, not feel completely cramped. Obviously, I want to do this floor to match, so it'll be the same pattern. Oh my god, what on earth? It's like and I promise I'm not, but it's like I'm trying to die. I don't want to die. We were at the Nether. We want to get back there, game. Let's not leave the welcome mat out for creepers to come in and sizzle on our heads. Not cool. Alright, more of the pink. Put that away. Let's switch these. Whoa. Just play with our stone. Got those. Switch out another one. So until we have more of the white available, maybe leave those as is. And I don't know. I think, for an outer wall, that pink won't look too bad. I was wondering why it kept looking so dark. It was because I didn't have that torch up. And maybe we follow that here and here, and on that wall, put up the pink and do the low white underneath the windows. I think in this one, right now we're still walking around naked. We don't even have the barest of armor, and this is that trap of early game. You start beautifying a little bit your basic home, and it's not gonna last, or be a in the game thing of beauty. It's a work in progress, and you're just thinking about killing time while you've got some stuff. The next thing you know, you forget that you're really not equipped for anything more than the safest style of play, and I have to keep telling myself that as we go. Job for this Minecraft day. Job before anything is take a look at how long we've been going in this world. Man, we're just getting going. Hang on one second. I'm going to lift my mic. Take a little sip and come right back to it. We want to make one more shovel. I'm torn. Really, I want to get back down in that hole too, but as I just got done saying, we can't forget how vulnerable we are until, and even once we do, but until we get some iron and get armored up, or we're walking around begging for death everything we do. And it's certainly a good idea not to think we're doing better than we are, just because we've put down a nice floor. So what do we have here? Yet another kind of drop off into a deeper chamber. Seems to be the style, but what I don't see is any iron down there. The coal is nice to see, but I don't think I'm going to make a run for that yet until we do get some of the sand going. As I've said in the past, I will go a step or two out of my way as I'm cruising along to break these tall grass things. I just think creepers like them. It's kind of their natural habitat. They'll chill in there and use them for cover, emerge, and come get you. The other thing that they can do, and the lower grass does too, like if you're trying to breed or feed chickens, grass will block whatever's standing on that tile. So, you're in a creeper fight, you got him rocking back and forth where you knock him, he approaches, you knock him back again, and with your bad sword, you're going to have to hit him a few times. If you have done that approach and are, have your momentum and are going to knock him back, and you break a weed or a piece of grass instead, it's, that can be lights out too. So, there's lots of ways that you can get in trouble, and I want to avoid them if I can. We need to. We need a win here, and when I say win, just some prolonged gameplay. While I'm sad, I'm not devastated that we didn't go further in our second world, the one that was well established. This has been a wake up for me in that doing the recording and splitting your focus to carrying on a commentary or a conversation with yourself, but in the spirit of an audience, does intentionally or not, it's handicapping your play a little bit, where you aren't just 100% focused on what you're doing, the task that you're trying to accomplish. So we'll see. I'm just breaking some grasses, I think. Where do I want to down these saplings? Just like in our original farm, I think it's pretty clear where our ground level may become for our farms. And a huge advantage here, I don't know that we have a bee associated with it, but we've got a bee nest already in the area. I'd like to try to pop a few more trees with bees as I can. And to do that, we'll need flowers. To do that, we'll need to, keep planting a bunch of tree saplings. Why don't we look to do that over here? As much as I want the bees too, and don't want to shoot that opportunity in the foot, I think I need to just get some randomly down first. Get them a chance to develop here early, and then we can still reharvest. As we'd said from the beginning, unlike our last world and some of the area around in the Susanna Dean world, we had a lot of thickly forested biomes around. This one, we have more opportunity for the acacia wood. Maybe we can use that a little bit more. But the trade-off is we don't have that dense forest to just endlessly, hey, we got to go chop some trees. Let's go do it. Um, so there's our saplings down. Let's go over here and gather up the ones that fell from this tree. Get them back again, and I wasn't too terribly concerned. We have enough of a treed hill there to ensure we don't run out of wood, but it's nice to keep that ready to go as our glass cooks. Once we get glass, we'll definitely want to put in our windows along this wall to make it safer to go in and out of our base. Cosmetically, yeah, it's nice, but we're a long way from cosmetics. This is, at least at the start, about security. So, let's get the panes that we can. Let's come back over here. Now, here in particular, on the outside, we can go up an extra level. And even though our ceiling isn't currently this high, and we're cutting out beyond our edge, we can put up a window like that. And here, just to compare, so if we were doing glass blocks and only cutting the window that we had, here's the sight line there, and you come out, yeah, that's nice. You get some light. It's way better than what we had. Here, you can look up so much more and cut that corner, and it's a little ugly. We may want to expand within and eventually raise this whole roof so that we can enjoy having bigger windows. But even when you're staying in a smaller space, just expanding the width of those windows out around the hole you've cut in your wall gives you more ability to look outside and beyond. And so I like doing just that little extra bit. And I don't like the panes are more of a pain when they're in this, because they will reach out to that other wall, but that will repair is maybe a strong word, but it will effectively become a non-issue when we've expanded the interior sides of our house a little bit more, and those go away. And at that point, I don't know, we still may replace these to keep the pacing or the frequency of those individual posts out. We'll see. And this does expose our own interior to a little bit of inconsistency, but I like just having that inside it, even though it's not fully there, and this will more eagerly make me pursue blocking those out. We'll want to do that. This wall is going to take a little bit more effort because we've got dirt right above, so more concerned at the moment about getting whatever remaining blocks we have. And with the last little bit of daylight, if it is getting towards dusk, which it seems to be, I want to cover up this hole. With the exception of our steps, we want to... Well, it's one of those that's why I break them when I can. So all this does, it doesn't change a whole lot, and this glass is certainly not very durable, right? It would break very easily within, but if we're working down here, we're not safe, but we're safer because nothing can just rain down when we're focused down there. Nothing can hit us on that fall directly, so big improvement. I was awaiting those glass blocks just for that. And the ravine over on the other side that we first saw on the first day, similarly, when you have a hole, once you get to the point where you just got as much glass as you want, that sometimes putting a roof up over a larger ravine like that can give you a big interior space and be kind of cool. But I think good progress in our day to day. We're finally getting to the point where we're stringing together a couple of completed tasks as we go. So what comes next out of that? What do we want to do from there? I think that we pretty quickly want to start considering getting deep into those low levels, and I think one way that we can affect that is to consider pushing out. I think this way. That dirt kind of scares me. I know we've looped out around this hillside and it's not infinite. I know that's not the way we want to go. It's really between making this the beginning of a staircase and going down, and I really don't want. I want another room because with the chests positioned as they are, I don't want to cramp the top of the staircase. This would be the easiest. We could move these two chests and just have the one furnace up here and eventually make a bay of furnaces for bigger cooks. We got room and stuff out there. I like it when your stairs come right back up to the meat of your equipment. Just as in the Susanna Dean world, we would come up the stairs, we got stuff to cook, it's all right there. Our bed, we'd just dive into it, and even if it was dark out over under the open sky, we'd be able to sleep and reset the next day. So lots of appeal, but I'm concerned with that heading straight out to the ocean, that we would run into a bit of trouble if we had it out. What I'd like to do is be able to kind of tie it into our ravine over there. It doesn't have to. The other possibility is, and it just occurred to me, but it's kind of appealing because I've never shared it with anyone as I go, and the straight, even 3 wide staircase, it's 3 wide is my take on what's otherwise something everybody has done or can do or easily understand. There's no real novelty in that, but we're a little exposed here. Not too terribly much, and I'm thinking let's just Phil Connors, throwaway movie quote there. Let's fill in with cobble. As much as I don't enjoy it, I think for the purposes of this, it can be anything but. This is what I've used over the years in this particular project, and I hope y'all enjoy. Now, there will probably be even more umming and ahhing than I'm prone to do as I just come up with words or fill the space, but as I'm scratching my head and trying to remember the exact alignment here and how I want to do it, there will be a great likelihood that I have to rework and think and consider what exactly I'm doing, how far I want to go, all that good stuff. The good stuff is we're going to get some more white out of all this. The bad is we could potentially open up a highway to our little friends. Let's just seal this off. We'll get back to that torch. Hear how much he wanted to get in. It's ready to make us miserable. Can we see that torch? Boom. No. Oh, man. We'll get it. Not a big deal. I think knowing what our interior wall is going to look like over here will be okay with having that, kind of be a cobble section of our exterior house too. If we then put facing on the outside of it eventually, that might be kind of cool. But like some of the grand houses that have long legacies, both in the eastern United States and in Europe and other places in the world that have been populated a lot longer, populated by Western European building style people. Let's say that. I don't want to discredit the people that have been in the Americas. They certainly were populated, well, not as long as Eurasia. They have had people for a lot longer than the more recently arriving European folks have been around. So, not to ignore that that legacy. Certainly, we will recognize that some of the cities and things that we refer to as development of the Americas were brought with arrivals from Western Europe, and they certainly brought the tradition of building stone and brick type houses and structures and those kind of things, as opposed to less long term structures built from materials readily available just from nature. So it's just a different way of getting by in life, and both are equally valid. The Native American populations that had been here before discovery, wink wink, of the Americas, both of them by Europeans, was and not even amongst Europeans, as I think it is much more readily taught, and it was even taught back when I was in school. But it's a bit of a joke that until the great Columbus went sailing across the ocean blue and discovered America, so much of that was already laughable in the idea that no one else knew that they were there. There was a cultural divide because the sort of Norse or Scandinavian cultures that had spread out through the British Isles and out across to colonize Iceland and at times Greenland, more or less successfully, depending on what the climate was doing at that particular time or century. They knew about it. The further north you go, the less distant those longitudes become. They are closer to one another because of the spherical shape. Sorry, flat earthers, but the spherical shape of the Earth says that if you're at a pole, you can circumnavigate the globe very easily. You just take 3 steps south from the North Pole and then walk in a tight circle, and hey, congratulations, you just made it all the way around the world. No fuss, no muss, and that's, probably says something about my simple pleasures in life, but I think that's a thrill to think about, and even better to to contemplate is, that's the world we live in. The just contemplating all its variety and the little weird wrinkles that are available to us because we happen to live on a planet that's a sphere is pretty cool. So anyhow, I put these all the way out, but I don't think we want them. I think we want to go here. And I think we now have daytime, which is cool. We're still pretty good on food. We would love the iron, but we're kind of now locking ourselves in a little bit more. And, again, until we hit more apparent struggles or challenges within our these spiders, man. What? Are you trying to tell me that I have flies in my home? What's your deal, guys? You're a nuisance. Oh, what? Man. Spiders I was cool with. Skelly, not so much. Now, these guys may again come after me, and I'd rather take one at a time than two. Let's get you. You're probably gonna... see, he's coming now. I know it got light, so... He lost his... He was making a beeline, and then I think, he said, oh, hey, it's actually sunny out. And now he may go under this tree and get hostile. He's going to be hostile as he comes out from under the trees. And he's not... See, that's about how far he needs to go to lose his ire. Oh, man, I don't like that you are both here, and one may get hostile behind me like this, or fighting another. And why that time did you stay mad? There's no more sun. Whatever. Why they keep showing up right above my head, I'm not 100% sure, but whatever. The good news is we got 2 string. We can at least make a fishing pole. That's kind of cool. Halfway through the day, we got our bed. Good stuff. Let's go see what we can do down here. The further down we find ourselves in these holes, the more willing I am to go to a single staircase. Mainly because if you fall off the edge, you have less distance to plummet to potential splatty death. And we've had enough of splatty death. Ours has really been more boomy / sizzly death, but either way, enough's enough. We're gonna pull this coat. Oh, maybe not. I shouldn't have broke that one. Do we have a edge to hang a torch on? We do not. I was saying I should have stopped because the coal that I'd already mined wouldn't have fallen through that hole, and that would have been a nice thing. Some of that is just think before acting, and stop acting if you have a chance in the midst of changing environment. I didn't. And, we may well go to our bottom of our staircase here and find that we're connected to that room. I'd be a little surprised if we were in no way connected, but just like with the obsidian over the lava where we quarry it, don't break those if you don't think you're going to be able to get to the ore ore before it falls. And you might as well leave it until you know you can go get it instead of wasting the time and energy and tool durability to do it. Now I think we're gonna, as I said, we're just gonna come right around that corner and have the same access, so no big deal. And finally we get access to some iron, but we are best off just going a little bit careful. Does all this connect? This is what I've talked about before. You don't want to push so, when you know you have some iron that you'd like to get to and it's so early that, that can be a real game changer. You don't want to go so far as to pull back a lot of mobs on top of you, where, may I say it again, we are woefully undersupplied. This is our first iron ore without villages to, find little treasures and things from. We haven't gotten any of those little bonuses, so we've been really left to our own devices. It's like giving up the starter chests. I don't know, are those even still a thing in survival? I honestly don't know. This is kind of a tough environment to fight him because of the steps. So, I don't know. I don't remember if I've really talked about them too much, but it used to be, at least, that you could opt in your world creation screen to have little starter chests, and they would just pop along beside your spawn. And so, you'd, just as we start our worlds nowadays, they would you'd show up in the world and start looking around, but somewhere within a few blocks of wherever you came into the world, you would have a nice little chest, and it would have maybe some torches and maybe some, I don't know, stone tool. I don't remember what exactly back then constituted the quick start, but yeah, it was kind of nice as a new player to have stuff that would help you kind of, get to the point of having a little base. And I'm sure, like many, I first used those and then struggled to get free of them. They're like cheats in the game or anything like that. They become dependent. There was the shield may kind of be an example. It's not a good one. There's something I'm thinking of, and I don't even know if it's specifically Minecraft. It's just teasing my my brain a little bit. Oh, you know what it is? At least in earlier versions um, of the game Civilization, which I hope many people are familiar with. All-time great strategy game for the PC, and I haven't played as much of the later versions. Time being what it is, and I think you have your favorites. For a lot of games, you see changes, and I know they develop to bring more depth to them. But for one, I think it was Civ 3 was my absolute favorite of that game, all time. Just loved the combat, the amount of tech tree stuff versus just making a whole bunch of military type units and going and having you could entice a AI civilization to do about the same thing, it would always have one big power that would attempt to grow militarily. It was almost a given, and I think, this has been a long, long time. I don't even know that you can run it anymore, unless it's heavily modded and that kind of stuff to get it to work on a PC these days. But back when I was playing it, I would make it. I think that was the last point where you could define your world dimensions. They would have a large world or a small world or anything, and then it had a max cap. But you could set the world configuration to build up to that full max, and just make truly massive worlds. And I love doing that. I would make them as big as possible, and I would make the minimum, which I think was 3 additional civs. So I would then have what would become. Hey, I think that's the other side that we came down out of the plains. So that's kind of cool. That connects. Anyway, I would make the biggest, least populated world that I had, so that the AI would have a chance to build up civilizations that, it was kind of unfair. They never really stood a chance, but I'd let them think they did. And by making the world so big and so spread out, it would lean towards everybody getting a chance to develop some of their technologies on their own, before you got into war and you got into that kind of stuff, and you just started getting locked into early conflict. And I thought that was great because did we get a potato there? No. You really could make up these large armies, and then just have at each other. And as a player, it was great because you could, you're always going to do better, particularly back then, than the AI. You could put it to, I think, deity or Sid level. I don't know how high they went up back in that particular version of the title. But then it's just building. I don't want to say it was cheating, but the AI gets advantages. It doesn't really change the way it functions, but it speeds up in Civ what the Civ gets. So it gets to a point where they can basically churn out production of buildings and those kind of things as quickly as they want to, whereas you actually have the constraints of having to build them. And that's kind of how it leveled out to advancing skills. Well, one of the things that civilization features are wonders of the world. They're big building projects, and they give you advantages, particularly early on. If you rush to build these wonders, you can very quickly jump ahead of your competition, and then game over. It'll still play out. You can enjoy it for a long time, but with the wonders, it's almost a predestined outcome. And once you've played a few times, you know which ones are worth it and which ones aren't. You just rush those in your best cities, and boom, 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 you're good. But they become addictive in that, and I remember there probably still is, but there certainly used to be a cool civilization website that had all kinds of, it was before there were videos, so there were web pages, and people had done all kinds of research and things to help other players learn how to play the game well. And They called it the War College. So you could go in and read people's studies or techniques of how to effectively build a society that was good for combat and all that. And it certainly lasted. I think versions 3 through 5 were very well covered there. I think now it's Civ 6, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't bought a Civ title in a while. I played 4 and 5 quite a bit, but 3 I remember because one of the wonders was the Statue of Liberty. You could rush to it, and it would let you, without having to get the research for it, adopt any kind of government that you wanted for your civilization. And so you could then, if you rushed early, as soon as the Statue of Liberty was available, you could rush it and switch into democracy, which was kind of the given best peaceful government type. It would let you build more quickly than all the others, and your people would be happier. They would grow faster. So that was good government, best government, peace kind of equation. And the flip side of that was fundamentalism, which was best government, war. And as you can imagine, there was no dissent from the people. You had a heavy hand. You were, more or less a dictatorship, and they couldn't do anything to question your decisions on how to run the civilization, and was very good for war. You get production bonuses, and but you wouldn't grow as quickly. You would hardly research any technology at all, and there was a pretty easily identifiable. All this kind of came before the website researching stuff, but it was a way that you could kind of quickly determine the path of, hey, if I make this the priority and I get the freedom to just bounce between governments. And I think that was another part of it was either a different wonder or it was the same, but you could then switch between governments without any delay. I may be confusing that with a later version of the game. I'm not sure, but I know that that early you can switch between any government without having researched it went away. It was definitely needed to be nerfed, and was just to make the game itself more balanced. The poor AI had probably been repeatedly pummeled by so many kids sitting at home, and adults. I remember adults just even that didn't particularly like computer games coming out of the arcade era. They even were. It was what brought a lot of people into PC gaming, where the little arcade style games had no interest. It kind of grew up a generation of people that thought, I don't like computers or computer games. They remembered the consoles of the early 80s, and growing up through kind of that NES, or the right N64 and Genesis, I think would have been, kind of comparable to Civ 3 coming out, and adult type people that were like, oh, I don't need the silliness, would go, oh man, this is some cool thinking, building, strategy stuff, and so I think a lot of people gravitated to that when it became available. Well, the reason why I've kind of gone down memory lane on Civ is those wonders became addictive. You would get used to relying on the ability, you could kind of get up to mid-tier difficulty where you would have a chance to, and that was the function of the AI grading. As difficulty got harder for you, the cost to the AI to build those wonders became increasingly low. So where if you played the easy difficulty, they're not even going to try to build wonders. They're just going to leave them for the human, and you can build them at your leisure, and no chance that you're not going to get every one. That gradually switches to you're going to have to pick and choose because you may have spent a whole bunch of turns building a wonder, and all of a sudden the AI is going to swoop in, and one of the civilizations will get that as a build, right? And you'll then have to either decide to take a different one and change, or abandon all the production that you put into that. So lots of thinking on that kind of stuff anyway. But when you reached kind of mid-tier difficulty, you're getting down to you got to pick the two or three wonders that you really want, and that was where you could still say I'm going to get I don't know, it was definitely the Statue of Liberty. I think maybe an oracle was really good. The pyramids have always been good for food and growth. So you would have to say, all right, this is my path through the wonders, and I'm not going to mess around with the others. I want to get these and beat out the AI, and I'll let it switch over if I beat it, or likewise let it take the others. So that was kind of it. But then if you tried to go up another tier of difficulty, it became increasingly unlikely that you were going to get the wonders that you wanted, or even any wonders at all. And you would find that by relying on the perks that you got from the wonders, you were neglecting the more mature or more refined gameplay style that would let you have success whether you had the wonders or not. You learned eventually that having cities with access to good resources and having those connected and spending your early game turns getting the city improvements and things that would unlock all that would give you the same effect without the possibility of missing out just because the computer decided, hey, it sees that you're, that was a functionality of the game. I've never really looked at the code of games, but I know in Civ, the game knows what all your cities are doing just as much as you do. It's displaying out all those info screens, and it would know, hey, the best city is getting close to wonder blah, pyramids, and the game can then very easily say, you are 3 turns away from completion. I will now make random civilization blah that nobody can see but me. Oh, very suddenly they're on the brink of completing that. You got to make a decision whether you want it or not. So by breaking that dependence, and this is very roundabout relevant to Minecraft, but if you don't become dependent on the either spawned in loot chests at the beginning of the game or the villages and things that are out there, you actually learn a more resilient gameplay style. And again, I'm almost guaranteeing that before I get back here for the night, I'm going to get killed just by saying it. But instead of getting overconfident based on the things that the game gives you, you just slowly work with what's available to you and grow from there. And you have to avoid the pretty floor temptations to forget, hey, look, I still don't have any armor on. Now, fortunately, we're making progress. We got a little bit more, but not much of this is going to go into armor yet because we have some pressing tool needs that we need to fulfill. Job 1. Iron sword. Our stone sword was almost gone. It served nobly. It will earn its place in the archives of all time. We're going to get a bucket. We've got our one bed, so I think I'm going to hold off. I'm very tempted to go ahead and do shears too, and just because we only have the couple of sheep in the area, begin to build up a little bit of wool without the whole breeding and all that kind of drama. But I'm not going to. 8 and 7 at this point with the bucket and the sword are exactly what we want to do. So we will take our shirt and we will take our pants and we will be grateful for having them. And let's go ahead and get dressed here. Yeah, we're still maybe at best running around in our stocking feet and stubbing our toes repeatedly, but we're get the bulk of us covered now, which I think, most people would agree when you're, find yourselves abandoned on maybe it's an island, maybe it's a wider world landmass. It's something we need to look out for and protect ourselves on. Let's go ahead and put our sword over here. It's treasured for its sentimentality, so we will give it the respect it deserves. Dirt and gravel over here. Dirt, gravel. Got some of that now. Now, I want to get going on our stairs, but I also kind of want to see what this can potentially look like if we do, now that we have more of the diorite. Excuse me. Let's just pop those in. I don't know. I think it could be too much in a very real sense. We may find that we're a little candy cane overwhelmed. But I think if we soften the interior walls, I don't know what we could possibly. Maybe some acacia wood would do for that. I don't know. No, that should really be the pink too. But if we go like that, again, this is kind of why you and I say outgrow loosely, right? This is why you kind of, as you play through a number of worlds, you kind of let your style choices change to. Oh yeah, that's 3 pink there. That almost seems a little bit overkill, but let's do that. Oh my goodness. Anything gonna kill me yet? I think that. Oh, it came back. That's good. Then we could up above do white, but I think that around the bigger glass of the windows may look okay. I don't know. So far, we don't have to do it here, but we can put in one just to kind of maintain that style. We're doing all right. Let's check and see how we're coming here. We just crossed over 2 hours. So I think, fingers crossed, we haven't died yet. That's better than we were at in Hondo world. So celebrate the small wins, and that was certainly one of them. Let's go ahead and throw our bed down. We won't sleep. We'll save that for our next episode start. But call this a very good beginning. We'll close and relaunch the game. I'll take a little bit of a break myself, and see you in the next episode whenever that gets posted. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Hope this world is off to a little bit better start. Our new world is beginning to hopefully thrive, and Elcano, we look forward to many more adventures. So, thanks again for joining me. Let's throw up our official thanks and farewell. Take care. Have a great rest of your day or evening, or if you're jumping into the next video, I'll see you when I restart. Take care, and thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day.